What's going on, friends? Harley-Davidson is trying to boost its business by any means necessary. Now, Harley-Davidson has announced a couple of new motorcycles coming out for 2026, which is actually pretty exciting, to be honest with you. But when it comes to Harley-Davidson, they have made some statements about these new motorcycles that, if you know Harley-Davidson as a company, it's actually kind of scary. Harley-Davidson has announced that for 2026, they're going to be bringing back the Harley-Davidson Sprint. Well, in name only, but it's supposed to be a sub $6,000 motorcycle, basically aimed at beginner riders. Now, being Harley-Davidson, sub $6,000 is probably going to be $59.99. Now, at $59.99, being a Harley-Davidson, you can already imagine this is probably going to be an absolute disaster, and Harley-Davidson has already made a statement that pretty much makes it an absolute disaster. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Harley-Davidson has really kind of developed an obsession with going after younger riders and trying to get them on Harley-Davidson motorcycles. The problem is that younger riders really don't have any interest in the brand, in Harley-Davidson as a whole. Not just yet, anyhow. Now, I'm not saying that there's not younger riders out there riding Harley-Davidsons, especially Dynas in particular, but when it comes to Harley-Davidson, it's always been a brand that you kind of grow up and grow into. Very few people out there, especially in their late teens, early 20s, even mid to late 20s, are like, hey man, I'm going to get a Harley-Davidson, that's what I'm going to ride. No, they're generally more interested in sport bikes or naked bikes or anything but a Harley-Davidson at that point in their life. Harley-Davidson has tried and failed time and time again to connect with younger riders, especially the Street Series. That was an absolute disaster. And then Harley-Davidson turns around and makes the worst mistake they probably ever made in the company's history, and that is absolutely dumping the Sportster line and coming out with these new water-cooled plastic bikes. Love or hate the Sportster, the Iron 883 was one of the hottest selling motorcycles for Harley-Davidson in recent history. Those motorcycles sold like absolute hotcakes. That was a really good looking motorcycle that really brought a lot of younger riders into Harley-Davidson. And not to mention, the Iron 883 was not ridiculously priced, not for the longest time, not till Harley-Davidson got their latest CEO, and then magically overnight, the price jumps about $2,500. Now, before the Iron 883 started selling for a little over $10,000, this was an excellent way to get younger riders onto Harley-Davidson because you could walk in, buy a brand new Iron 883, and it was Harley-Davidson through and through. It had the look, the sound, the feel, everything you could ever want. Not to mention, you could put a little down payment on it and leave the dealership with a brand new 883 for less than $200 a month. And now Harley-Davidson wants to introduce a new model that is going to cost less than $6,000. We can only assume, because we really don't know anything about the bike at this point, but at that price point, I think it's fair to say this is probably going to be some kind of single-cylinder, all-plastic motorcycle that looks and feels absolutely nothing like a Harley-Davidson should. You and I both know this is likely going to be a disaster, and I say that because even Harley-Davidson themselves, the CEO, said that they've been developing this bike since 2021, and they feel like that they've engineered it and designed it in a way that it's still going to be profitable for the company. Now, you can do the math there with everything that entails. Now, coming from Harley-Davidson, I would say that is a pretty disturbing statement, and not to mention, the name Sprint isn't even nearly as cool as Iron 883. Now, as I mentioned, we know absolutely nothing about the motorcycle, but I think it's fair to assume that it's probably going to be like Harley-Davidson's X Series that they're selling in some of the foreign countries, and that they're also using for their rider training programs here in the States. I hate to admit it, but even the Street Series was more Harley-Davidson than the Harley-Davidson X ever was, because at least the Street Series motorcycles had a V-twin engine. Now, I hope Harley-Davidson learned something from the Street Series, and don't hate me for saying this, but I would really hope Harley-Davidson took a good, hard look at Yamaha's V-Star 250. This is one of the smallest cruisers out on the market with a 250cc V-twin engine in it. Those are really getting hard to find. And not to mention, you could pick one of these up brand new for right at about $4,800. Now, imagine that if Harley-Davidson built something kind of along those lines, but smoothed it out and put Harley-Davidson's style and design into it, kept the reliability, most important of all, I think Harley-Davidson would have a hit. I feel like Harley could not build enough of those for a sub $6,000 motorcycle that's kind of shaped like that V-Star but trimmed up like a Harley and sell it for less than $6,000, I think that'd be a winner. I think the point that Harley-Davidson is missing is that they don't need to chase younger riders. They need to get over this build less and sell it for more strategy, because it just hasn't been working, building less motorcycles and trying to profit off the ones that you do sell. The prices have gotten too high and people just aren't buying them right now because of that. I gotta admit, what really makes the new bikes extremely unattractive is the exorbitant cost that they've risen to, because they're building less of them, driving the price up on them, and they're literally trying to make more on every motorcycle sold, and it's absolutely killing the company right now. Harley-Davidson really needs to focus on the over 30 crowd, lower the prices, and start selling in volume. Because you got people out there that would love to have a Harley, but the thing is that the prices are so high, if they start building more of them, they'll sell more of them when they lower the price on them. And like I mentioned, the over 30 crowd, they may want to be keeping their sport bike and just add a Harley to the garage as well. My honest opinion is that Harley-Davidson should leave the entry-level market to the metric manufacturers. They build them cheaper, they sell them cheaper, and leave the Harley-Davidsons to the adults, lower the prices, and the adults will buy the Harley-Davidsons. I mean, you think about it, the V-Star 250, that was a bike that somebody would want to start on and start riding if they wanted a cruiser. And then a natural upgrade from the V-Star 250 would have been the Iron 883. That was a perfect upgrade, going from a 250 to an 883cc Harley-Davidson with the look and the feel that they wish they had when they had their V-Star 250. Harley-Davidson has really just focused on the younger crowd and completely ignored the people that would actually be buying their motorcycles right now. Because a lot of folks are ready to step off all these other brands and come into the Harley-Davidson family, but they dang sure ain't going to do it with bikes costing in the mid $20,000 range, over $30,000. Heck, you can't even get into a Harley unless you're in the mid-teens for the most part. So Harley-Davidson, leave the beginner bikes to the metric manufacturers and hold those dealership doors open for those folks that are wanting to come in and buy a new Harley-Davidson. Build them in volume and sell them a little cheaper so we can get more Harleys on the road and quit letting all the other manufacturers take all the business. But guys, let me know in the comments, am I wrong for thinking that Harley-Davidson should focus on the customers that are actually buying and quit shifting all their focus trying to get younger riders into Harley-Davidson, and that Harley-Davidson should just leave these beginner bikes, these cheaper motorcycles, to the metric manufacturers? Let me know your thoughts below. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars. I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.